had a knife. She was scared, but I didn't do that. I could have touched any part of her body I wanted to. I really wanted to, but I didn't.
My man really just said, hey, I might have murdered this girl in cold blood, but at least I didn't commit. That makes me a good guy, right? All the other guys that I know would have done that. And if that's true, you need a new set of friends.
Most boys would have touched her. So that makes me better. Don't you think?
So the hit British drama Adolescence has everybody talking. We have 4 episodes all shot in one take. So we're talking about the camera work and all of that. People are talking about the amazing acting, especially in episode 3, and about the themes that we are dealing with of online misogyny, incel culture.
And at home, we are watching Adolescence with our children.
The Prime Minister said the series is so important, he'll make it available to every middle school in the country. Some fear that risks normalizing the negative behavior. But for experts in child welfare, the spotlight is long overdue.
So what's it all about? Our show follows 13-year-old Jamie Miller, who viciously stabbed another student to death after she rejected him romantically.
Do you know how many times she was stabbed, Jamie?
No.
7 times. 7 times, all over.
In our first episode, we first follow these detectives as they're coordinating with other police officers to completely SWAT this house, just bash in the door, everybody down on your knees, hands in the air. Who are they looking for? Oh, they're not looking for this masculine, grown-ass man in his late 40s. They're not looking at another woman who is in her late 40s or the teenage girl. No, we come across this 9-year-old kid. Look, I know that he's 13. He does not look 13. He looks like a 9-year-old kid. He does not look older than 10, which makes it even more like visually shocking. Like, this is who we're dealing with. You went through all of this for this kid.
Where is he?
Mom!
Hey, he's only a kid, mate.
He's a fucking house.
Okay.
Hey!
Jamie Miller.
What's going on?
The time is 6:15 a.m. and I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder.
So since every episode is shot in one take, it's shot in real time. So I will say that my second time watching this, I paid extra attention to the times. Like at 6:15 he's arrested, and then at 6:31 he's talking to this guy, although only 8 minutes passed from when he was first arrested at home and then when he was like checked in at the station. Then at the very end of the episode, the interview is concluded at 6:58. So we know right away that he's been arrested on suspicion of murder. But who did he murder? Why do they think that? Seriously, this is just a little kid. Everybody in this house seems completely surprised, completely scared and shocked. Like, how the hell could the police possibly think that this young child did something like that?
How would you have felt if you were 13 and you had 2 grown men looking at your bits?
I wasn't accused of a crime.
That's it, though, mate. Accused. He hasn't been found guilty. He's been accused. Can you not do anything about this?
I'm sorry. They're entitled to underpace.
Ooh, the strip search was hard to watch. I was like, is that legal? And when we get to this lawyer, I, for one, thought that this lawyer was complete shit.
All right, I'm not here to ask you whether or not you did or didn't do it, Jamie.
He didn't do it. There's no way he did it.
And then after I finished watching the whole series, I watched other people's reactions, I watched other people's videos on this, and one of the lawyers was like, oh yeah, I would never allow this to happen like this. Because the solicitor says, I'm not even gonna ask you if you did do it or if you didn't do it. I'm thinking, no, that is very important information to know, because if by any chance this kid isn't lying and he really didn't do this vicious crime and he has an alibi, he needs to communicate that because the officers keep on saying, hey, you have a right to remain silent or whatever. However, since you're in this interview, we're asking you questions. If you choose not to answer some of these questions, it will hurt your defense if you do not bring up something now that you later rely on in court. So an alibi would be something that if you're innocent, if you're able to prove that you were nowhere near this murder, that's something you're going to want to bring up during the interview. And I think that that's ludicrous that the solicitor didn't even ask that. Like, oh, hey, this murder happened on this side of town. Were you there by any chance? Could you prove that you were not there and that you were in fact somewhere else?
So all I want you to do is say no comment. All right, that's it, just no comment.
Now, they say after that strip search, which was very hard to watch, I really like that they showed the dad, like, as he's watching this, thinking, like, this is so fucked up.
Okay, and if I can just ask you to lift up your penis, I need to make sure that there's no defensive wounds on your scrotum.
They say, okay, the worst is over now. Now you just get to get interviewed, but uh-oh. Do you know what CCTV is? Do you know what surveillance footage is? So you can say no comment all you want, but this is you in these pictures, right?
Got you here passing the library, 9:17 p.m. Got you here corner of Shetley, 9:43 p.m. These are you, right? All of them. Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
As soon as Jamie said, yeah, that was me, he's toast. There is no point in saying no comment when asked, where were you last night? If you later see that you're in this CCTV footage and you say, you confirm that was you, because some of this footage, it really could have been like any other white male who's 9 years old or who has the build of a 9-year-old boy. Yeah, he really fucked himself over, because later they're like, yeah, they don't just have images, they don't just have pictures. Here is a video. This murder was caught on surveillance video. And this murder, as I mentioned, it's vicious. There's like really no excuse for getting out a knife and stabbing someone. We see that Katie pushed him first. I've seen a lot of other movies or TV shows or whatever where two people get in a scuffle and then maybe one person pushes the other, but then the other person pushes back with a little bit too much force, and then that person, like, maybe they hit their head on the wall or on a rock on the ground or something, end up bleeding, and then they end up dying that way. I bet that that happens a lot more, like, proportion-wise in TV show and movies than it does in real life. But yeah, if it was something like that, then you could say, okay, that's manslaughter. He clearly didn't mean to do that. She pushed him first. But the fact that he even had a knife and that he used it on her multiple times.
My chest, neck, thigh, arm, a lot of stabbing.
What can I say? Like, you cannot say, oh, that's manslaughter, that's whatever. You get out a knife and you stab someone when you really want to hurt somebody. And that shows that it's at least partially premeditated.
What inspired you to write this?
It was, honest to God, to be honest, completely honest. I read an article in the paper, and it was about a young girl who's been stabbed to death by a young boy.
Yeah.
And then a couple of months later, I was watching the news, and there was another story about a young boy who stabbed a young girl to death.
In America, you lot have got problems with guns. In the UK, us lot, we got problems with knives.
I did think in my head, if this were an American show, this kid would not be going around stabbing somebody. This would be like a school shooter. He would not just be mad at this girl for rejecting him. He would be mad at, like, all the women in his school. And I gotta say, when I first found out about incels, it was because of a school shooting. But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Just want to say about stabbing, there's something very personal about it, because you do have to get up close to the victim and, like, you know, you get the blood on you, whereas with guns you can do more damage, but like psychologically it might not feel as violent to the person who's going around shooting people because you can be more detached from them, if that makes sense. So the second episode, we're trying to find the motive. We're trying to find the reason why. We go to the school.
The dynamite. What do you think that means? I don't know. It's an exploding red pill. Pills, the blue pills means you see the world as it wants you to. That's from the Matrix. You've been watching the Matrix.
Episode 2 ends with us finding out that Jamie was an incel. And it's like, but he's 9.
Woman, you must trick them because you'll never get them in a normal way. 80% of women are cut off or she's saying he's an incel, Dad.
He's 13. How can you be involuntary celibate at 13?
I know.
Who isn't celibate at 13, huh?
I know that he's 13, but he looks 9.
Do you know what I don't like about all this?
Go on.
Right, the perpetrator always gets the front line.
This is where I'm going to give my main criticism of this show. Like everyone else, I think that this show is amazing. I'm really glad that it has the success that it has and that it has started the conversations that it has. But there's this one line by D.S. Frank.
We followed Jamie's brain around this entire case. Right?
Yeah.
Katie isn't important, Jamie is. Everyone will remember Jamie, no one will remember her.
I don't think that that's necessarily true of the investigation because they actually talked to Katie's family before they arrested little Jamie.
You want to say sorry to Katie's mum, who I had to talk to just past midnight last night while she was sobbing on the floor because her daughter is gone.
So they get to know the people who knew Katie and who loved her, and they're able to center her story in a way. But this show does not. Second episode is the only episode, or at least that I remember, where we see somebody talk about their relationship with Katie, how much they're going to miss her, how she made her life so much better. And she doesn't know what she's going to do now with Katie gone. I would have loved to have seen a lot more focus on that because D.S. Frank is right. I think that she's more right about shows like these because I feel like Katie could have been centered more. Even though, again, this is set in real time, so this show starts after Katie died, and unlike a conventional TV show, we don't go back with flashbacks. If we see anything from prior to this incident, it's because they're looking at something on tape or, you know, something like that, photos, that sort of thing. But we can't just bring her back and have her tell her side of the story. Hear more about her in episode 3. The psychologist is doing an analysis to get an understanding of his understanding.
To understand my understanding of my understanding of my understanding.
Yes. Of what he did. And starts out very friendly. She's kind of being like this motherly figure of making sure that he has marshmallows in his hot chocolate. She's being really nice to him and friendly.
Jamie, if you do not sit...
Look, I fucking want to sit down! You do not tell me when to sit down! You do not control my fucking... Look at me now!
But he blows up at her a grand total of 3 times. And we hear something pretty disturbing from him.
She sent it to Fidget and then he sends it on. Why did she send it to Fidget? I don't know, she fancied him. So she was trying to attract him. I think he asked her. He's not going to get any more pictures though, is he? No, she's dead.
Somebody in this school got Katie to send him pictures of her boobies, and then he sent it around to all the kids in school and made fun of her for being flat-chested. Mind you, this kid is 13 years old, still going through puberty, so a line of, oh, well, she was flat-chested, but I didn't mind that. She's 13. Anyway, Jamie reveals that since he's bought into this bullshit about how women don't like regular guys and how you have to trick girls, if you're not a Chad, like you're not in that top 20% or whatever of guys, you have to trick girls into liking you. So his thought process is that while she is going to be very upset after her pictures were shown without her consent, he's going to apologize and basically hit on her, try to get together with her, and use this tragedy to his advantage, which is just so creepy and so gross.
Everyone was calling her a slag, you know, or flat or whatever, so I thought when she was like that weak, she might like me. It's clever, don't you think?
To ask her out when everyone else didn't like her.
And she lashes out at him and says that she's not that desperate. Now, I want to say, even if Katie was hit on by some other kid who went to a different school and who knew nothing about what just happened, I think that she might have still reacted kind of meanly.
She was, let's say, attacking you for presuming you could ask her out.
It's your words.
You think they're unfair?
You think she's a bitch, right? Doing all that?
Of course she was a bit of a bitch. She just had her pictures distributed without her consent. The last guy who tried to get with her had some ulterior motives, so maybe she might be in a phase where she's thinking that all guys who try to act nice really deep down are not nice. Like, she doesn't know how to discern yet the difference between a nice guy who truly has really good motivations and who truly wants the best for you versus somebody who might seem nice at first but they have ulterior motives, and then you're going to react to that by just pushing them all away based off of your very limited and very negative experience. That's what I think.
Her weakness made her more gettable, was your theory?
Yeah.
I thought you said you didn't like her.
But the fact that he knew about these pictures and she knows that he knew about these pictures, she's probably thinking, okay, any guy from this school who approaches me after that, they're going to see the pictures, they're going to think that I'm easy, so therefore I need to go out of my way to show that, hey, I'm not easy. Don't assume that of me. That's my thinking of what Katie might have been thinking at that time. So she also sent some emojis making fun of him for being so undesirable.
Want love, won't get it. My throat's killing. A red pill exploding. That's the same as the red pill. And then that's an 80-20 thing.
Under other circumstances where if he had just asked out a girl who hadn't gone through all of that and she rejected him, I don't think that she would have been that mean. And that is pretty sad because you do think that, you know, if he hadn't fallen into this kind of incel crowd and if he had just had a normal interaction with the girl and not because he thought that she was easy, but because he actually liked her or whatever, and maybe he could have been rejected, but like in a normal way, or maybe she would have liked him back, whatever, then things wouldn't have escalated to what ended up happening.
You do not control what I fucking... Look at me now! You do not control what I do in my life! Get that in that fucking little head of yours!
He talks to Bryony, the psychologist, like he's an adult, like, no, you look at me! That's something that adults do when they're scolding kids. Like, don't look away. You pay attention to me while I'm talking to you. I love that image of him standing up even though he's so tiny while she is sitting down and looking up at him. I especially love that we get this interaction with a female psychologist.
You're not. You're pretty.
This isn't about me, Jamie.
What? You don't think you're pretty?
I'm not the interesting person in this room.
You don't think you're pretty? You do think I'm ugly?
I haven't passed judgment on either of those things. If you think about it, for very good reason.
Oh, for very good reason.
I want to understand you.
Because, I don't know, it really helps explore these kind of gender imbalances. And I've seen other people in the comments section talk about this security guard after she leaves, after he blows up on her and she decides to leave the room, and then she decides to watch a surveillance video of him in the room. And I was just so annoyed thinking, this woman has a job to do and the security guard is just chit-chatting. Like, shut the fuck up and let her concentrate Oh.
So it doesn't seem like a proper goodbye. It is. It doesn't seem like one.
Yeah, that's enough. Come on.
No, we haven't finished.
We have, thank you.
No. Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Do you like me?
But I really love that last freak out where he asked her, do you like me? Well, do you even like me a bit? I think that maybe at the beginning it seems like she could have liked him, but then it becomes clear that he's manipulative.
She was a bitch. Even you can see that. I should have killed her, but I didn't.
He thinks that she was the bitch, even though he killed her. He's not able to grasp that she was going through something very difficult at that point in time, and she could have been just a lot meaner than she normally would have been. And even if she was mean, and if that was just her normal personality, that's not so mean that it warrants stabbing somebody to death. Like, you know, if we're talking about the glory kind of bullying, if Moon Dong-eun had decided to stab those kids to death, I get it. But in this case, we're talking Katie sent you some emojis. This is not the end of the world. These are emojis. Does not warrant getting out a fucking knife. So as for the last episode, it took me a little while to get into it because after we hear DS Frank say this...
Katie isn't important, Jamie is. Everyone will remember Jamie, no one will remember her. That's what annoys me. That's what gets to me.
I was thinking, oh, since they wrote that into that show, of course the writers are going to have an episode where we focus on Katie's family and her loved ones. And you might have noticed that I hesitated before saying Katie because I fucking forgot her name. Periodically, throughout watching this show, I kept on forgetting this girl's name. I was like, what the fuck is this girl's name? Before we even know Jamie as the murderer, we know what Jamie's favorite school subject is. We get an opportunity to feel sorry for him a few times, like through the strip search, him crying in the car, and we don't know what the evidence is against him, so for all we know at that point in time, he could have been innocent, though we know by the end of the episode that he certainly is not innocent.
I didn't kill her. You think it is because you've seen the video. You can't trust videos anymore. It's all fake news.
But still, we get opportunities to feel sorry for him. We get opportunities to get to know him as something other than a murderer. And here we get to see the family and we get to see what his dad thinks of him and what his dad remembers of him, again, before he became a murderer, and just trying to grapple with, like, what does that make me? My camera is running out of battery. Basically what I want to say...
We always see the perspective of the victim's family, which is rightly so. Do you know what I mean? Of course we should. And with episode 4, I wanted to have a look at the impact it has upon the family of the boy who has committed the act.
I understand that. I'm wondering why can't we have both? I understand why you would have an episode like this where it shows the effect on the family and they question, like, what could we have done differently to prevent this from happening? And how the dad had tried to be a better father to his children than his father was to him. And yet at the end of the day, his son ended up being this vile misogynist who murdered another girl who had rejected him. But still, I really would have liked to have seen Katie's family. I don't think that we saw Katie's family at all. If we did, I do not remember seeing them. I just remember hearing about Katie's mom in passing. I don't know where her dad was, if her mom and dad are still together, or what happened.
Yeah, my camera just ran out of battery right there. But basically what I was saying was we don't really know much about Katie's family at all. We know that D.A. Bascom, he told Katie's mother about her death.
You want to say sorry to Katie's mum, who I had to talk to just past midnight last night while she was sobbing on the floor because her daughter is gone.
Later on, the two detectives talked to Jamie's solicitor.
Is it a media blackout, is it? Because I couldn't see anything on my phone.
We're still looking for the relatives, their dad.
Okay.
So from that, I can infer that maybe the parents are not together Because if they were, then the mom should know where the dad is. Like, oh, he's at work, he's on a business trip or whatever. Or maybe they are together and the dad was just like out drinking. Maybe he's one of those kinds of dads, just disappears every once in a while. Who knows? I don't know. There's no information at all. And I think that that would have been very useful to get to learn more about Katie. So that is my biggest issue with the show. But I do like this bit.
That whatever claims you make as to her character,
I didn't mean she was
whatever
a bitch.
claims you make about her, she's gone. That whoever did kill her, they extinguished the possibility of her future life.
I didn't mean to be mean about her. She just didn't like me.
Listen.
I do like this interaction with Bryony and with Jamie, where she says, whatever you have to say about how much of a bitch she was, she's dead. Anyway, what do you think of the show? Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.